All right, Scott Rasmussen has a poll about a third term for Donald Trump. Do you support or oppose Donald Trump seeking a third term? Support 28%, oppose 66%. That's about right. People don't want a king. All right? And the Constitution clearly states it's not going to happen. I told you it wasn't going to happen for the jump. And Trump just throws it out to be provocative, to drive his enemies crazy. Okay, to the media, another, not a victory for the press, but interesting story. As you know, Donald Trump despises the Associated Press, the AP. That's the wire that goes out to the smaller newspapers across the country and the world. And it's been very anti-Trump. I have been on record as saying, look, I understand why the president goes after these media companies. I can tell you that since 1996, when I started the O'Reilly Factor on Fox News, the Associated Press has not said one nice thing about me. Not one. David Bowders, their TV writer, hates me. I think I met him twice, but it was like every cheap shot they could take, they took. So if I could ban the Associated Press, I probably would, but I'm not the president. So anyway, Judge Trevor McFadden, appointed by Trump, U.S. District Court in D.C., said, look, to the White House, you just can't exile them. And his reasoning was, a court simply holds that under the First Amendment, if the government opens its doors to some journalists, be it in the Oval Office or elsewhere, cannot shut doors to other journalists because of their viewpoints. Okay, I think that's right. All right, you got to have a bigger view that you don't like them. Now, they don't have to call on the AP, they don't have to give them special treatment, but you can't banish them. Now, the judge did suspend that ruling for 5 days so another court can take a look at it. Joining us now is a guy who has a tremendous amount of experience in the media, not as much as me, but nobody does because I'm very old. But Dan Abrams, you know him, was at NBC. He's still at ABC as a legal correspondent. He runs a website called Mediaite, where they write about media every day. He was on News Nation until recently. The guy knows the media. So number one question, is the media, the linear media, corporate media, losing power in America?
Absolutely. That's an easy one. The mainstream media, the media that you and I grew up on, has definitely lost influence. It's lost viewers. It's lost its power. It doesn't mean it's powerless. It's still influential, but just doesn't have anything like the sort of influence that it once had. And I think, by the way, I think that applies to the Associated Press as well. I mean, AP used to, you know this, AP used to be the thing, right? AP sends something out. It goes to everyone, everywhere, all over the world. Well, now everything goes to everyone all over the world.
That's right. Now, why are they losing power so rapidly? I know there's more competition with the social media, but I believe it has to do with partisanship. That people, and all the surveys show this, they don't trust the media anymore. It's in business to preach to the choir, tell people what they want to hear. I think that's the main reason for the decline.
I think it's a combination. I think it is definitely the medium. It is the fact that people can get information elsewhere. They don't have to turn on NBC.
But why wouldn't you turn it on if you liked it?
Yeah, you might.
Yeah,
but you might.
If you liked it,
right.
Come on.
But you might prefer to hear more of what you want to hear on a daily basis. And I will say that the major loss for the mainstream media has been among conservatives. There is no doubt about that.
Well, wait a minute. There's two networks that are 100% conservative, Fox and Newsmax.
Yes, correct. And I think that the ABCs and CBSs, and put aside cable for a moment, right? The broadcast networks, the places that everyone used to get their news from, the folks who are on the right will now very often go to someone like Bret Baier on Fox News to get that quote unquote newscast. Or they'll go to folks like you, by the way, who are on their own, independent, not beholden to a bigger entity. And they'll say, you know what? I like O'Reilly. What does he have to say about this? I think people now have a lot more choices than they ever had before. And I think that has made a huge difference in, these guys used to be the gatekeepers. It was all about if you weren't, you couldn't get someone to cover it, then the story faded. Now there's a whole host of opportunities and options to get someone to get a story, your take, whatever it is out there.
I think Trump destroyed the media. And he did it passively, not actively. Obviously, this AP thing was active. He doesn't like them. He doesn't like NBC, in particular, those two. But by hating Trump as much as MSNBC, NBC News, CNN, by hating him, viscerally hating him, to this day, to this moment, fair-minded Americans, not ideologues, makes us uneasy. Am I wrong?
I think you're right. Look, I think there is, people use the term Trump derangement syndrome, right? And, either people on the right use it and say it with a sort of a smile and a snicker, and people on the left say, there's no such thing. But the truth is there is such thing. There really is this sense on the part of some. They are so angry at Trump all the time that they just can't do what they're supposed to do in a remotely objective way. Now, I will say this in defense of some of the folks on the left, is that Donald Trump has gone into this Trump 2, his second effort here, and has definitely taken more extreme measures and positions than he did in Trump 1. And as a result, if you are someone who is quote, there's no such thing as objectivity, pure objectivity. Let's call it, so you're somewhere right of center, left of center, right? And the guy who's in power is taking positions that are pretty extreme in a lot of ways. You're gonna be calling him out. And as a result, you're gonna hear more criticism of Trump than you might of another Republican in that role.
All right,
and the same way, by the way, if you had AOC or Elon Omar, and I'm not saying that they're apples to apples.
No, it wouldn't be at
there.
the same level, though. It wouldn't be at the same
It would.
level.
I think that's fair. I think you're right. It wouldn't be at the same
level. The corporate
level.
media tried to re-elect the Biden administration through Kamala Harris. They tried everything. That 60 Minutes thing is a legitimate thing. They tried to help her. And
come on. Do you think that 60 Minutes thing was really a big deal?
I saw that transcript. I saw how they edited it, and they did not have to edit it that way. They tried
How do we
to
know
make
that
her
they
look,
edited it? We know they edited it because they put it out
admit
themselves.
They admit they
They
edited
put it out in two different forms. They put
had
out
to.
one, they put out the other. They didn't have to.
Oh,
They
yeah,
put out
they
one
did.
as a tease on Face the Nation. They put out the other on 60 Minutes. They were doing it because they just thought, these are two, different
Dan,
ways of getting the same thing.
How long did it take for 60 Minutes to put that transcript out?
That was the mistake. The mistake was not releasing
Thank you.
it. But now that we've seen it, it wasn't that big a deal.
I've edited.
It's typical editing.
You and I have edited thousands of pieces. I never would have edited my piece that way. In a million years, I wouldn't have.
I didn't find that editing to be that disturbing.
All right.
I didn't find it to be disturbing at all. But
I think they absolutely, and then subsequently, every week on 60 Minutes, they just bash Trump. Just bash him.
Well,
every week.
That's true. That's
and
I
see,
mean, look.
Once that happens, and that's the top of the line. 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace, Morley Safer, Don Hewitt, top of the line. Once that happens, then regular folks go, something wrong with it. Now, I'm going to be on your show tomorrow. Tell people where they can find that, because I'll do more talking there, which would be much better for everybody. Where can we find that?
You can find it on SiriusXM on the POTUS channel at 2 o'clock, but also the video of it will be on the Mediaite YouTube page.
Wow.
Which we are now building out. And, part of the build out is to get Bill O'Reilly on the show.
Well, we're doing the same thing.
I'm going to say something about Bill O'Reilly. I said this to Bill O'Reilly privately. I said this to my team at News Nation privately. There is no one better at broadcasting in the business than Bill O'Reilly. I've said it to my team. So this is no secret, but I believe it. And I'd be wondering, when I was thinking about you talking about the AP, you were saying they've never said anything good about you. I did wonder what good they could have said about you. But, yeah. Anyway.
Well, they could have said what you just said.
Exactly. But it's true.
Somehow they missed it.
They missed it. They missed
All
it.
right,
It's true.
Abrams.
It's a fact.
We'll rock and roll tomorrow. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
Look forward to it.
There is a lot of talk about government debt, but the real crisis is personal debt. You need Done with Debt. They have unique strategies to help end your debt fast so you can keep more of your hard earned money. And they will not try to sell you a loan. They're tough negotiators, will go one on one with your credit card and loan companies to drastically reduce bills, eliminate interest, erase penalties. Clients end up with more money in their pocket on month one. And they don't stop until you're debt free. Take a few minutes. Visit donewithdebt.com. It's free, but listen, some solutions are time sensitive, so you have to move quickly. Go to donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. Tell them Bill sent you. Let's get another point of view, and this Doug Schoen, you know him. He was very good during the election cycle for us. He's a Democrat political strategist, author of the book Politics of Life, and he joins us from Miami. All right, my analysis, is it foolish, naive, misleading? What do you think?
I think you're basically on the money, Bill. We're in the midst of a man-made crisis that could resolve itself shortly, or it could resolve itself over time. The dominant sentiment I pick up in the polling we're doing is uncertainty combined with, as you said correctly, Bill, doubt in the quality and judgment of our administration. Not dismissal, but deep, deep uncertainty.
But why would they be uncertain if the border has worked, if the Doge thing has uncovered billions of dollars of wasteful spending, if the DEI stuff is out, which most Americans don't want? Why would there be uncertainty about Trump? So far, he's doing pretty well, right?
Inflation, Bill. We still haven't had prices come down. The average guy going to the supermarket hasn't seen a material benefit in his life. And that is his Achilles heel now, as it was Joe Biden.
All right, so inflation remains stubborn. Although where I live on Long Island, gas is down. Okay, it went below $3 a gallon over the weekend. Eggs are down 50%, you know, because the bird flu thing is subsided. I don't, I'm not in the grocery store all that often, but I'll take your word for it that across the board in most parts of the country, you haven't seen a lot of relief. All right, so that the folks, the ones that voted for Trump, are they going to bail now that their stock and bond portfolio is cratering? Do you believe they are going to bail?
The way I see it, Bill, is first to start with where I think I agree and where you're right. The 35% who are the MAGA crowd, they're with him come hell or high water. They're going to stay. There's no doubt there. The next 15, 16% that gave him his narrow majority in the popular vote, they're asking questions. What's happening to my 401k? Is inflation coming down? Are we in an unstable situation in the Middle East and with Russia and Ukraine? Not that they've turned on Trump. They haven't. He's at his highest level of approval ever recorded for him. But there's doubt, and the doubt is, I think, been exacerbated by the events of the last couple of days of last week and today.
All right, that polling is going to go down for him. You know that. Everybody knows that. You know, it's been 4 days. And the market today, as I say, is up and down and in and out. But the market can come back. I firmly believe that. I mean, I can't give financial advice to people. But in my column, I said, you know, if you panic in any part of life, not just here, that's not going to be a positive for you. You gotta maintain. And if you believe in what you bought, the companies that you bought, it's not going to be as smooth as you thought, but dumping them now at a low level, you're never going to get it back. But if you hold them...
I don't give financial advice either, but as a life lesson, Bill, that is very good advice. And Warren Buffett said basically the same thing you said in your talking points memo, which is if you're worried about the markets in your portfolio, don't look.
Don't look. I mean, but the frustration is there are a lot of older people and a lot of people who have got college funds and they're getting hurt and they might need the money. And that's just the vagaries of life. I mean, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Now, the Democratic Party, your party, should be able to take advantage of this kind of chaos. Any political chaos works for the opposition. But because it has no leader, no one, it can't take advantage of it. Am I wrong?
It can only take advantage of it if, as you suggest, I think correctly, Trump's numbers and the Republican numbers come down. If the Republicans are able to keep their majority in both houses.
But let's assume that they do come down. Let's assume that a week from now, on the 14th of April, that Trump's approval rating slides to the low 40s, which it could.
Yeah.
Who's going to step up on the Democratic side?
We don't have a leader.
Yeah.
In a midterm, you can win a midterm. As your talking point, Memo, your word was grisly. I think the results can be grisly. 2028, we don't have a leader. There's nobody on the horizon. Agree with the overall assessment.
All right. But it's still too early for the midterms. It's 19 months now for the midterms.
Right.
So,
but the Democrats are running against Trump, not for any ideas. That's for sure.
No. But as you know better than anybody in this country, because you do this for a living and have done it for a long time, I think since U.S. Grant, you've been in the game.
Right.
Okay. That if you tear down a president, that's hard to reverse. So you saw it with Biden. So Biden just got into one mess after another, and people just lost confidence in him. But Trump is a different cat, as Dennis Miller would say. So Trump is defiant. My vision is going to work. Now, 6 months from now, in the fall, if it's still inflation is still high, prices aren't down. In fact, if they go up and the stock market is still just impossible, then I think Trump will have damaged himself beyond repair. But I think he's got 6 months. Am I wrong?
I would agree with that, but I would tell you the economy has to improve vis-a-vis inflation and prices. And bottom line, there has to be a relatively quick solution vis-a-vis the tariffs. We just can't go indefinitely with this uncertainty.
All right. Last question. I think the tariff thing is going to work out with Europe. I think it'll work out with Canada and Mexico. But China is a different story. So China seems to be itching for some kind of confrontation. I don't really know why, because the Chinese economy is very shaky. How do you see that?
I agree with you. That conflict, if it be limited to China, Bill, I believe Donald Trump will be supported by the American people en masse if he puts tougher retaliatory tariffs on the Chinese. If the rest of the world is resolved in the way you suggest, I think this will have a soft landing and a happy ending.
No, I don't know about a happy ending because it's Donald Trump. All right, Doug. Thanks very much. We always enjoy talking.
Bill,
to
thank you. Always.
We'll see you soon. President Trump is trying to fix the economy, but some believe the damage is already done. As the dollar value drops, China's power and gold keep going up. I called American Hartford Gold to diversify with physical precious metals, and you might consider that as well. They will help you secure your savings with physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or you can set up a tax advantage gold IRA. Plus, it's tax and penalty free to roll over your current 401k or IRA. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star ratings, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, they are the only precious metals dealer I trust. So please call or text American Hartford Gold. Tell them O'Reilly sent you, and you might get $15,000 of free silver on a qualifying order. Call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Getting quality sleep is not easy, and without it, all aspects of our lives will suffer. Thankfully, there's a solution: Beam's Dream Powder. This healthy hot cocoa has already transformed sleep for many. With delicious flavors like cinnamon, cocoa, sea salt, caramel, it's only 15 calories and 0 grams of sugar per serving. Guilt-free and effective. Dream's all-natural ingredients like magnesium, melatonin, help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed. It's easy to add to your nighttime routine. Just mix it up with hot water or milk before bed. Want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder? You can get up to 40% off for a limited time at shopbeam.com/Bill and use code BILL at checkout. That's shop, BEAM.com/Bill, code BILL for up to 40% off. CNN had a town hall with Bernie Sanders last night. Why? Why? Bernie Sanders? He's not in the news cycle. He doesn't have any power. He's a communist. Why would you give him an hour? And they're going to, believe me, I don't have the ratings in yet, but nobody, right? They won't crack 1 million on that. And it was Anderson Cooper, and they don't get any ratings anyway, but they'll go down. So I said to my staff, I can't watch this. I was just too busy. So just give me one soundbite in an hour that Bernie said. Here it is.
There are some of us who from day one have understood that we've got to stand up and rally the American people to fight against this horrendous agenda, which at the end of the day is really significantly about giving massive tax breaks to the top 1%. All right? So what Trump and the Republicans are saying is, hey, let's cut Medicaid by some $880 billion, and let's use those savings to give tax breaks to the very wealthiest people in this country.
It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. But he says it every day, Bernie Sanders. And he believes it because he wants to believe it. There's absolutely no truth at all. It would be like me coming on this broadcast tonight and saying, next Tuesday, the nation of Canada is going to apply for U.S. statehood. That's not happening. It's never going to happen. But I would tell you that. That's what Bernie Sanders does. Now, who wants to hear this? It's so far out of the realm of possibility. That's what they do. Department of Homeland Security says that thousands of illegal immigrants have moved out of here. Okay? They have said, we're not staying in the U.S., we're self-deporting. So what is the number? Well, my crack staff got it. 5,000. Let's see, 5,000 out of 14 million? No, that's not a big number. 5,000 said, yeah. Now, they may have been homesick or they might, but that's not a lot. Now, it was 5 million, but this self-deportation, not working. Smart Life. Okay. This study is from AARP. And I know some of you don't like AARP, but I'm kind of neutral on it. I like AMAC better. But AARP, they're not totally useless. They did a study, and it says 20% of Americans over the age of 50 have no retirement savings at all. Not a dime. I believe it. 61% say they're worried they're not going to have enough money to support themselves in retirement, and you should be worried. If you're 50 years old and you got no retirement savings, you're in a heap of trouble. Now, every day I get letters from concierge members, and that's on BillO'Reilly.com. That's a program. If you get into trouble or have questions about anything, we will help you with the trouble and answer your questions within 24 hours. Okay? I would say that 25% of the letters begin with, I have no money. I'm broke. I'm sick. I got this. My kid's that. I don't have any money. I just got laid off. I don't have any money. I don't have any money. Heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to me, because I want all Americans to prosper. I can't understand why people don't have any money. Because from the time I was 10 years old, I worked. Cutting lawn, shoveling snow, babysitting, then I painted houses, on and on and on. Always, always worked. And my father said, you are going to save 10% of everything you earn. And I did. So therefore, I always had money. But apparently, millions and millions of Americans don't. And I don't get it. If you don't have any money, you are powerless. You are dependent on other people. That is the worst thing you can be. You cannot depend on another person, even if it's your wife or husband or you can't. You have to be self-sufficient. Smart life. The other people can help you and add to the quality of your life, but you cannot be dependent on anyone. And the only way out of that is to have resources, to have money in this capitalistic system. Think about it, because you're going to get it if you don't have any money. If I were 50, I had no money, I'd hop in an Uber and I'd work 2 jobs for 2 years. That's what I would do. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.